Hello. I'm Richard Watson, and this is Anglais the Easy Way. Today, I'd like to talk about a book called Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. It turns out it wasn't originally a book. When I started looking into it, originally it was a mini-series on the BBC from the 1990s. And it's a series that's set in London below, which is like a magical realm or world, which coexists with the more familiar London, which is referred to as London above. So it was a series that was invented or written by Neil Gaiman and Lenny Henry, who's a comedian. And then Neil Gaiman made it into a novel. So he wrote a novel about it. So here's plot summary, just to give you an idea. Richard Mayhew, a young Scottish man, is living in London. And he stops to help an injured young woman who is called Dor, which is a kind of weird name for a girl, Dor. This simple act throws him out of his life, which was perfectly ordinary, and into the fantastical world of London below. He quickly discovers that the life he had before has vanished. He has a fiancée who doesn't recognize him, he has friends who can't see him, and he's seemingly erased from the world of London above. Now he must navigate an underworld which is dangerous and magical with Dor, his new friend, plus a few unlikely allies and a couple of deadly enemies. They travel through this subterranean version of the city that resembles another type of London, a London which no longer exists or which has never existed except in our imagination, searching for the angel Islington and answers to the murder of Dor's family. Richard has to decide whether he wants to return to his old mundane life or remain in the thrilling and dangerous Neverwhere. So, who are the main characters? Well, Richard Mayhew, an ordinary man from Scotland who's recently moved to London, who finds himself thrust into the extraordinary world of London below. He's initially very timid, but he grows in courage and resourcefulness, having lots of resources. There's Dor, a young woman from a powerful family called the Openers, who can magically open doors to any place. She's on the run after her family is murdered. On the run means she's running away. You have the Marquis de Carabas, a charming, opportunistic rogue. Rogue is like a thief or something like that, with a mysterious past and a knack for surviving any situation. A knack means like a gift for surviving any situation. He's a valuable but unreliable ally. You have Hunter, a fierce and formidable woman warrior from the mythical beast of London's court, who is assigned to protect Dor. And you have Mr. Croup and Mr. Vandermeer, two brutal and ruthless enforcers who are pursuing Dor and anybody helping her. They are very cruel and they enjoy their work. So why is this interesting? Well, he has an amazing knack for creating interesting worlds. London below, it's very detailed, richly imagined. It both feels familiar and alien, because it draws on real London locations and folklore to craft a truly unique fantasy world. And it blends genres. Neverwhere mixes urban fantasy and mythology and a touch of dark humor, creating a captivating, unpredictable narrative. You can relate to the protagonist. He's just a normal guy. And the characters are very memorable. You have the cunning Marquis to the menacing Mr. Croup. They're distinctive and they're flawed and they're quite compelling. And then we have this theme of the forgotten and the marginalized. Neverwhere explores themes of those hidden and overlooked in a city, giving them some kind of power and agency. It also touches on themes like identity and belonging and the attraction of exploring a place which is unknown. Now, who will like this kind of book? Well, fans of urban fantasy set in cities, especially people who enjoy stories that blend magic with real-world settings. Readers who appreciate imaginative world-building and unique characters, and those who enjoy a touch of dark humor and aren't afraid of a bit of grit. Grit is like dirt. Some people who like stories about extraordinary people who are thrust into extraordinary situations. And who won't like it? Well, people who prefer straightforward narratives and don't like ambiguity or symbolism. people who don't like the darker or more violent kind of stories, and people who don't enjoy fantasy elements in their fiction. I'll give you a couple of quotes, just to give you an idea. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. He was a collector of lost things. He himself was a lost thing. Some people, they just can't be helped, but they'll always be remembered. No place is ever as bad as you imagine it will be. There are places in London below the streets that are not for the weak, they're for the lost. I'll give you one more. The problem with the world is that the intelligent people are full of doubts, while the stupid ones are full of confidence. So for those of you who want more than just my amazing articulation and this interesting story, you can go back and listen to this again and look at how I used relative clauses. Relative clauses are things like who, or that, or which, or where, or when, or with. A lot of people have trouble with them, but in fact, they use them and they understand them perfectly easily. Anyway, that's probably enough for this week. Go and have a look at it if you don't know this book. A lot of complex vocabulary, that's true, because it's a very rich and imaginative story. But anyway, a great story. Go and have fun. I'll catch you next time. Don't forget to subscribe.